You are being programmed.
Why do we have such a fascination with cemeteries? Is it because of the death or the influence of TV and films? Is it the realisation of how short our lives are? So in this video I'll be taking a look at monumental cemeteries and so much more. The phrase monumental cemetery I'd never heard of before my Genoa conundrum video. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Right guys, I want to show you some etymology. Obviously the title of the video is Monumental Cemeteries, and I just want to go through the definitions because it's wow. And what I found for something else on regarding a question which I'll talk about in a minute, it'll make sense and honestly blow your minds. Honestly, it's a blow your mind things. Yes, it's a what if, but there's nothing wrong with thinking out loud and showing you guys what I found. So the word to start off with is
monumental.
Monumental. So great in importance, extent or size. It's been a monumental effort as an example. Or the next one is of or serving as a monument, a bit like a trophy, pulling out to display. Just to think on that. It's just crazy, isn't it, when we just look at words like this. Now the next one is coming up now, and that would be
cemetery.
Now just look at the origin of cemetery. It's from the Greek koimen, means put to sleep. I mean, that doesn't sound ominous as it is. Yes, I know the ancient Greeks thought when you were put to sleep that you would die and a few things like that. But you never have thought that would have come from the word cemetery. It then moves on to koimen or whatever, koimen, and it means dormitory. So, you know, when your kids are at college or you go away younger and you're going into a dormitory to sleep, you basically, that is where the word cemetery comes from. Again, both together sound a little bit weird and ominous. It's like an offering type of thing. So very weird how we come to in regard to words. So far we have monument or monumental, serving as a monument, and obviously cemetery meaning a dormitory or put to sleep. It's like an offering place, this cemetery, because what I didn't talk about in the last one is a cemetery doesn't have a church, and a graveyard has the church in the grounds. And I'll show you a quick picture now. I should have showed it on that one, but hey, we're always thinking, aren't we? Sometimes you miss things out when you're thinking about other things in general. So far I've done monument or monumental and cemetery. Now, how we've been brought up on the classics like Clash of the Titans, the old one with, is it Harry Hamlin or something like that? And do you remember Medusa used to open her eyes and basically turn people to stone? And we've had newer films done of that. And what's it called now when we have the Lightning Thief and all them? So Percy Jackson. So we also have Percy Jackson and Medusa in that. And obviously Medusa is a Gorgon. But when people in the chat last week were asking, what's your thoughts? Do you think people in these cemeteries? Because if you're just watching it for this first time, I did a video called the Genoa conundrum. And in that's where I found these monumental cemeteries for the first time. And some of the statues, the marble statues, do look very, very like you can see eyebrows and things. I mean, the quality of craftsmanship, I've gone into that. It's astounding. And people were asking, and I apologise if I forgot your name, that what's your thoughts on it? Could these people be turned to stone? A bit like the Gorgons, or like films with gargoyles turn to human. Now, I didn't know what to think at the point because, well, obviously, you know, people always ask and different theories, and I've not looked into things enough. I know people like Mudfustle University and Stelium 7 do good work in regard to fossilised remains, hearts, bones and things like this. Well, was there a plasmic type of event where things were petrified? Was there some sort of weapon used to petrify in a reset? Because obviously we don't know what time it is because they've meddled with the calendar. So, all that being said, we talked about marble. So far we've done Monumental Cemetery, and you've seen the things a bit weird about that. Well, here's Metamorphic, because that's what marble is made out of. Marble is a metamorphic rock, mostly commonly calcite. Well, we have calcite in our ears to balance. Anyway, let's have a look at what metamorphic means. And obviously metamorphic, denoting or relating to a rock that has undergone a transformation by heat, pressure or other natural agencies, e.g. the folding of the strata or the nearby intrusion of igneous rocks, metamorphic genesis, or are marked by a metamorphosis, if that's a word. So you can see where I'm coming from. Obviously it's come from the English meta and the Greek morpha, meaning form. So if marble is metamorphic and obviously it changes, if there was an event that could turn, or a technology that could turn people into stone, and were some of these people who turned stone in these monumental cemeteries, like a place that you go, like not like a theme park, but you know, a ritual place? Because look at where some of these cemeteries are positioned, like bang in the centre of a town or something like that. So it's an important place, hence the monumental. And it's like a trophy, like I was saying. So these could be that what I'm talking about. Now you might be thinking, well, it's not bad talking like this, Paul, but how have you got to this conclusion? Well, this is how I've got to it. Now, in marble, and marble is spelt M-A-R-B-L-E. Now, E-L, I know it's backwards, but it's an inversion. E-L is something godly. We all can agree on that, yeah? Well, have a look what marb means. Obviously, M-A-R-B. And you'll go, what the flock? Seriously, guys. Are you ready? Here you go, guys. Adjective, marb, meaning dead, mortified, insensible, spiritually dead, pertaining to the dead. Say what? You heard it. Dead, mortified, insensible, spiritually dead, pertaining to the dead. So marb means that. And people are talking about marble statues being, could they once be human beings? Some of them, I'm not saying everyone, because obviously some of this craftsmanship, but it just blows my mind away. And like I say, I'm not saying this or that, I'm just showing you what I found. If you don't agree with it, that's your problem. Do you know what I mean? I'm just wow, because people are talking about this and this, and to look into the etymology of marble. Now, if you type marble in all at once, obviously you get the etymology of what basically I've been talking about. But splitting it up, we know L-E or E-L is godly. And the marb, as you can quite see on the screen, means dead, mortified, insensible, spiritually dead, pertaining to the dead. So marble altogether could be God, a god, not the god, because obviously small lowercase g, something godly. Is something godly mortified or took away the spirit or turned these people into stone, like a Gorgon or a Titan, or some sort of technology or some event that happens, plasmapheric or a frequency, who knows? But it's just something to think on. that marble means that. Well, marb means that, and obviously the EL then makes it godly. So you can see, is it a ritual for a god to turn people into stone and put them in a monumental area, an important area to show off. It's just, I know it's a way out there theory and a huge what if, but I'm just absolutely dumbfounded by what I found marb to mean. As you can see on the screen, dead or mortified or spiritually dead. And we have these monumental cemeteries, and serving as a monument. Is that an example? If you don't do this or don't follow this way, we turn you into this. A bit like the Gorgon, a bit like the Ice Queen, and other characters or characters in the play or films that have turned people into ice or stone. I just found it wow, and I had to share it with you, even though some people might think it's ridiculous. I'm just bowled over. Hopefully you are, guys, because this is huge in my opinion, and it just gets the brain racing for sure. So this is just me thinking out loud, especially after reading what mad means. Remember, dead and mortified, spiritually dead. It just got me wow. So I thought, is there anything in the Bible? Now these are in no particular order, it's just a few things I want to talk about. Doesn't mean it's fact for anyone, it just means that I want to read it out and see what your guys' thoughts on it, because I see something here. This is about Lot's wife in Sodom and Gomorrah, but Lot's wife looked back as she became a pillar of salt. So she turned into a pillar of salt. Yes, I know it's not stone, but still something. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread." Could he, if he's turning from bread to stone and stone to bread, what about people? As you come to him, the living stone, rejected by humans but chosen by God and precious to him, you also, like living stones, are being built in a spiritual house. So Jesus is known as the living stone. That gets you thinking. And the Word became flesh and dwelt amongst us, and we have seen his glory, glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace. And that got me thinking, because the Word created everything. Remember the word abracadabra, everyone's favourite magical incantation? We've all heard it. Now, I believe it comes from and sounds like the Aramaic expression abracadabra, which means I create what I speak. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me personally. It's funny how cadaver, or a corpse, is a dead human body, and abracadabra, cadaver is the same. It's a something in that, I just don't know, a magical spell. Sounds like a spell to turn people to and from rock or advanced technology involved. I'm just thinking out loud, guys. It just got me thinking, especially them verses where Jesus is known as the living stone. So, got me thinking, Mount Vesuvius. Now, a lot of people don't believe in volcanoes, etc., etc., or if these are even real. The point is, if you look at them, they were turned, the ash turned them to stone. Whether you believe it or not, I'm putting in this video because I like to think, and I like to think differently. Is this an example of this tech or the spell being put into action of turning people into stone? Was there a plasmeric event? I don't know. Was there something that happened that turned people into stone? Living stone. It just gets you thinking, doesn't it? And that's all I want to do on this channel, is get people thinking and thinking differently, not just for being different's sake. I just love it. I love conveying and showing what's going on in my head objectively and seeing what you people think. Now, I've suggested spells or advanced tech or a natural phenomenon that happened. What if it's just a misdiagnosis? Fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva is an actual condition. It's really rare and it's called the Stone Man syndrome. And it's horrific if you think about it. I feel so sorry for these people. Could it just be this is what has been put in mythology and folklore? Stone Man syndrome, this extremely rare genetic mutation that causes fibrous tissues, muscle, tendon and ligaments to be ossified when damaged. So actually basically the skeleton turns to stone, but it's actually bone, but it's known as the Stone Man syndrome. Could this be where all the folklore and myths come from, and this is what we're talking about today? Or is it a skin condition? Because there's a boy who's, like I'm reading out now, he's turned into stone. An 8-year-old is forced to stay inside because he's terrified of other children and suffers horrific pain if he touches anything due to this rare condition, and it's not being diagnosed. And the headline is he's turning into stone, but it's just like a skin condition. Could this be where all the folklore and mythologies come? And here's a few pictures of this young lad suffering from this horrific skin condition. So these things I'm just thinking out loud. I've showed you, could it be a spell, advanced tech? Could, all the Bible references about this, abracadabra. Is there something in our past that happened that triggered people to turn into stone? Is it a natural phenomenon? Is it a mutation? Or is it a reset? Or is it anything I've not mentioned so far? First, I was afraid. I was petrified. Now that's an iconic song, but it just got me thinking about the myth and folklore. Like Medusa, for turning people to stone. I've mentioned it briefly, but I just want to briefly read out a few of the folklore tales on petrification, turning people into stone. So I want to quickly talk about a few petrification stories in history. One I want to talk about that I'd never heard before is a story about a person called Saint Barbara. Now in this, it's recounted that when the saint was pursued by her sword-wielding father Dioscorus, after he learned of his daughter's acceptance of a new faith, her location was given away by a shepherd, and the shepherd was punished for this deed by being turned into stone. And while his flock were turned into locusts, a famous artistic depiction of this is included in the altarpiece of Saint Barbara. I've had a look, and it's supposed to be in that, but I want to share something with you in a minute on that. But yeah, in general, obviously we've had Medusa being the Gorgon. We've had other stories, and Metamorphosis by Ovid talks about Minerva and Allegorus, and how the sister got pissed, and she seeks the assistance of Envy, who fills Allegorus with so much envy for the good fortune of others that she is turned to stone. So there's a lot of stories in mytholore about being turned into stone. Where did he get these ideas from? The stories of gargoyles. There used to be a Disney series in the 90s about gargoyles, and there was a film, say 5 years ago, which was based on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, with Frankenstein called Adam in it, and the gargoyles basically came to life and were fighting demons. So there's all these stories about folklore, mytholore. Where did he come from? Was it just a misidentification, a misdiagnosis of sorts, for instance, of people with these stone man disease or other conditions that used to look like they turned the skin to stone, or were actually people being turned into stone? I just don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. Your common sense would say no, but just look at stuff that we're talking about and learning every day. So it's just intriguing, and obviously you have stories from the Americas, Oceania, which is Australia way. Maori tradition talks about the canoe was brought by the ancestors of Ngātahu, people of South Island, the fishing net and the water gourd, calabash, or how to pronounce that, of Arethuria, was turned into stone by the Moreki. There's loads of different talks about this, about people being turned into stone. Obviously you got the gargoyles, medieval gargoyles on top of churches, and that ties into what I've just talked about. It's just intriguing, isn't it? And all these stone circles that are supposed to be giants or people being turned into stone. There was one very similar to Saint Barbara. It talks about how at the village of Koloboki in the Czech Republic, there's an alleged prehistoric menhir with a height of 3.3 meters, strangely enough, which is 11 feet. Oh my god, that 33 and that 11 get everywhere. So it's the tallest in the Czech Republic. It's upright, lonely standing stone, and it's called Zamkili Pasti, something like that, shepherd turned into stone. So there's more talks about how people are being turned into stone. It's just intriguing, isn't it? So I just want to show you something now in regards to that Saint Barbara. So here's the picture actually of the shepherd turned into stone. As you can quite see it, I'm zooming in for you now. I couldn't find it before. It took me ages to find it. So there you go. But it got me thinking. We look at these medieval paintings and mosaics and different things with pieces of art, and there's the Saint Barbara in the middle. Just look at her colour. She looks like white or stone herself. So that got me thinking, I just typed it in, I took random ones, not even ones that look like it. Just look at some of these medieval drawings, artwork. Some of them, the women especially, look a different shade of colour to everyone else. Are they actually stone? So like I said, I just randomly chosen some of these Venus, and you can see certain people look a different shade. Now, is it just time? Is it how the artist wanted it to be drawn? Is there other things in it? Or are these people made of stone? Who knows? But I just had to share that with you. And now what you see now is what they call cadaver stones, or basically go on top of crypts or some, inside churches, inside chapels. And how, look, they look like skeletons. They almost look lifelike. Could it in fact be, like I've been saying in this, they were turned to stone? And this one's at the Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica. I've covered this so many times, but you can just see these other ones. It is crazy just to think that they're saying this is stone, this is marble, and it's been worked so like that. Which, yes, there is a possibility. Yes, it can be that. Do you know what I mean? We can never say no to this. But when you start thinking of the words that I've been using in this, when I found the etymology, you just have to look at all this again with fresh eyes and just ask those questions that we have to keep asking, and hopefully we'll find answers for. I mean, you've got to take into account St. Bartholomew, and he was skinned alive, and some people believe this is the actual him in a cathedral or a chapel in Milan. Now, I already showed you one of the cemeteries of Milan in this at the beginning, but just look at it. If this is artwork and done by someone, it's breathtaking. Could it actually be what we're talking about in this video? I'm just putting it out there. I'm brain food, as we say, and anyone who's got some brilliant ideas might be able to explain it more. I mean, I've got loads of things to come up and show you. Yeah, this is the Cappella San Severo, and this is in Naples, which the patron saint of Naples is Janos, just by a coincidence. I've showed you that in various other videos, and just look at the artwork in this. A lot of these pictures have been shown around in the community. They're absolutely breathtaking. And this is supposed to be marble or stone. So these are the things why I just wanted to show you these together with the cemeteries and what I've showed you so far about what is going on. Is there a possibility that these people were real? I mean, you just have to look at the etymology of the word marble, remember, and you have to go, wow, just wow. And then look at these pictures again with those fresh eyes after you learn the etymology of, obviously, marble and what that actually meant to be dead or mortified or spiritually dead. I mean, some of these pieces are just, like I said, there's no words that you can explain the craftsmanship that's gone into these. If they are carved from stone or marble, is there, like I said, a use of an ancient tech to do these? We can only, theorize until we get our hands on these. But there's good theories about. But I just had to share this with you to add on top of what I've talked to so far. I've got something coming up in a minute. Again, will raise your eyebrows and just make you think. Now what you're seeing is a modern piece. It was not long made. The timeline video will be in the description if you want to check it out. Please do. If I forgot to put it in, please just give me a heads up and I will find it for you. So guys, we have this. It's Lake Natron in northern Tanzania. It's one of the harshest environments on Earth. Temperatures in the lake rise to 140 degrees F, 6 degrees centigrade, and the alkalinity is between pH 9 and pH 10.5, almost as alkaline as ammonia. This causes animals crushing into the water to calcify and look like stone figurines when they have dried. Some certain kinds of fish that can evolve, have evolved to survive in such caustic environments. Now, some artists, a photographer, took these images. Now, do they actually turn them completely to stone? How long have they got to be in the water to turn into stone? Is it just like a shell? And obviously, if they break it, they move. I don't know, but it's just giving me an idea of if this is a case of just a pH balance change and it's doing this to this lake, what other factor is making the animals turn to stone, or the shells? Could it happen on a grand scale in a reset? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud and seeing what you guys think, because it's an interesting theory, isn't it? If this can happen just by dipping in the lake or exposure to this over X amount of times, and you get encased in like a salt substance, or look what's turned to stone. What could these people or statues, could they have any derivative from this, like a reset happened, like a flood, but the pH balance of the water made people turn to stone? I just don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. See what you guys think. Right guys, I'm finishing off with the cemeteries because I've got to do my thoughts here. And here's the aerial shot. I was just going to take an aerial shot, and I thought, oh look at that, not far from it you got the intersection. It looks like the circuit board cities. Paris is amazing for that, isn't it? So I was going to say, right, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Noticed the 11 there, and I thought, no way, how close is that 11 to the cemetery? So I zoomed out, and I just followed the road, the 11 down, and I'm thinking, is that what I think it is? No way. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's a pentacle. It's near enough a pentacle. What they've done is, as you can see, and this is called the Place des Nations, it's got all sculptures on, is one line, just one line away from a pentacle. There's pentacle, isn't there? And there's pentagram. Pentagram is without a circle, so I don't know if you class that as a circle around, so I think it's a pentacle or pentacle. It's just wow. So you can say to me, I'm not going blind, that's an inverted, and it's just one little line away from being that, what I've just said. So it's crazy. I just thought, no way. In your face, as you can see, because I sort of cornered my eye from a distance. I thought that is 100%, and obviously I zoomed in and it's just one line away from it, but still, that is crazy. So this is the finish off, and there's the Paris Cemetery. I believe the grounds Napoleon chose, it was a Jesuit site, so there's something as well. Right guys, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. My thoughts are coming up, unless I hide something else in it before the thoughts, but it's been a blast. Glad to have your support, guys.
Yeah, they call me the black sheep. You know they call me the black sheep.
Hello and welcome. Right guys, thank you for joining me again this week. It's a privilege again for you to take your time out of your day and watch my video and the content and my thoughts that I put onto the channel. It's a what if video, but wow, it's interesting for sure. For anyone that's new subscriber, thank you for for taking the plunge, as they say, and joining us on What the Flock TV. We've got great support, great people who watch me, and I'm humble, so you'll fit in. They're a brilliant bunch. So on with the video. So last week I did the video, do you know a conundrum? And in that I showed monumental cemeteries, and a lot of people were wowed by the cemeteries, even me making it, because I never heard of that term, monumental cemeteries. Obviously you thought of cemeteries, but when you look at it at a grander scale like that, there is a lot of these types of cemeteries, and I could have gone for days, and I didn't want the video just to be a video of pictures, because even me making it and you watching it, there's only so many pictures before you're curing your insomnia. So I wanted to make it different. I believe I have done that. I put the bit about the etymology at the beginning, obviously in the monumental, meaning greatness, or to serve as a monument, but I look at it a different way. I look at it as a trophy, an example, for people, or something that, if you don't follow a line, this is what's going to happen to you. So when you look at it that way, it does sound ominous. And then when you get to the jaw drop, the mind blown, the 3 follicle challenge, I know I had 3 follicles right there, or is it there? And they fell off researching this video. So that is the extremes I go to put content out. I'm losing follicles, so come on. so yeah, the bit and the question, like I said, people were asking last week, do you think these marble statues are real? And there's been a lot of good research and good videos, like Stellium 7 on hearts, bricks being hearts, stones being hearts, and all the stuff he's done on that topic. You got Mud Fossil University. They're 2 of the well-known people in that field. And we also see pictures of titans or animals or people, depending on the size, not just necessarily giants, in regard to mountains or a stone feature. And people always ask, are they real? They were petrified. I've got that song in me now. I've got that song in my head now. I'm not going to sing. So it just makes you think, doesn't it? Because, like I said, there's the mud fossil people, there's the mud flood people, there's the Tartaria. Calendar is all over the place. There's so many different examples of the calendar, the Jewish, the Talmud, the Ethiopian, the Mayan. You can go through different types of civilizations. We don't even know what year really we're in. We can have a good estimate. But what happened was there a mass reset where something significantly happened, came down, turned a portion or all the survivors that were on the surface to stone, to marble. But did it turn people into different types of stone depending on personality? That's an idea, isn't it? In regard to your personality, in the sense of your ego, envy, hate. Did you get turned into different stones? We've seen people like, say, the gargoyles, and there was a film by a cartoon by Disney in the 90s about the gargoyles, and obviously they come to life. But there's also the film I, Frankenstein that I've got, and that's about an ongoing fight between the gargoyle race and the demons, and they want to use Frankenstein's notes to reanimate corpses, to put the souls in of the demons. Or you have to watch it. I do recommend it. It's a good film. It's not going to win an Oscar as such, but it's still a lot of symbology in it, and I highly recommend you guys watch it. Called I, Frankenstein, and them gifts that I've put in, that was where it's from. So when you think on them lines, is anything is possible. I'm not a channel to say I believe this, I believe that, I believe this, I believe this, I believe that, I don't believe that, I don't believe that, because I'm learning as I'm going. One bit of evidence will trigger a memory of something else, and that's how I work. Learn from your great comments when YouTube let me answer them or actually read them. It's an ongoing battle as a part of the game, guys, and we just have to play it. Losing my voice then. So that obviously I looked at the etymology. I've done the monument, and then the cemetery. Cemetery means to put to sleep, and then it went on to become dormitory. I mean, come on, children sleep in dormitory, especially when you go to college or you go away on school holidays. And we're talking about people being put to sleep. Is that any reference to these marble statues? And it got forgotten about. Obviously, did something happen? People want to put an example, so they put people in cemeteries, and cemeteries don't have a church attached to it. 9 times out of 10 they don't. Obviously, there's going to be examples. Some say, well, actually, this cemetery has 3 churches or 3 chapels. See, there's always one who wants to do that type of thing. Just go with the flow, guys. I'm just, in a generic term, a cemetery or cement. Cemetery. Cement. Doesn't have a church. It's a graveyard, or has a church or a chapel or a cathedral. So that's interesting. Is there something in that? So we then get on to the wow, mind blown 3 follicle challenge drop is the word marble. So some people ask me in the chat, do you think these marble statues were real people? And then when you look at the word marble, take the EL off. Obviously EL is something godly. Not necessarily good. It could be a force. It could be a technology. It could be an ME in regard to the Mandela effect. Remember I did a video on MEs being the link to the gods. Is this a frequency linked to the gods that turned people into stone, to and from stone? Who knows? Like I said, I'm just thinking out loud. I haven't got a clue. I am honest. But the marble means dead, mortified. Mortified. Like mortuary. And then you have the spiritually dead. So these things just make you go, wow. And when I did that, like I said, my hairs fell off. The ones I did have left. I'll have to have a little ceremony for them after. Don the music. Guys, that just blew me away. Just wow. I mean, we're talking about living statues, and actually the 4-letter word marb means dead, mortified, or spiritually dead. Is it talking of these people had the souls taken away, their spirit, their breath, their life? Were the demons, were they turned from like a Gorgon type of thing? Who knows, guys? I mean, it's just an intriguing thing. And then when you carry on looking at the video and putting these little bits together, it's intriguing because we have the, like I said, the cadaver stones, that go on top of in chapels, and some of them look like dead bodies. and it's like marbleized? Is it a case of like that lake Natron? Is it a case of a simple pH balance can turn things to stone, whether it's just the skin or full skeletal turning stone? I mean, just wow. I mean, a little change of a pH balance was turning things into stone, or like I said, a skeleton or just a skin. That's wow. I mean, did a reset happen so significant in the case of the pH balance went like off the charts? Was it a gas? Was it a liquid? Is it the case of the Great Rift, which, you know, in Milky Way is known as a Great Rift? Is whatever came out of that turn people into stone or create something else? We just don't know the power of whatever the water, liquid crystal, you know, like a saline solution, but the pH balance is just, you know, liquid ammonia. I just don't know. A lot of people have different theories, and that's for them to think on what it is. But just to come from the etymology of marble, meaning spiritually dead, the dead of the gods, are they remnants of a god who they followed? And the loser or the winner, as you look at it, the winner changes his story and puts them out as a monument to show as a trophy or an example to people. Just makes you think. I mean, you have, that's just from a pH balance, that lake. So like I say, you just don't know what happened in this realm. Was it water, was it gas, was it a liquid that did petrify people into them and basically smoothed it off and put them as an example? Who knows? Was it the case of, like, for instance, we've seen trees, giant trees, we've seen rocks looking like animals, looking like titans, like humanoid shapes. Some of them are really, really like, and obviously in this community we get a lot of people photoshopping them, so that doesn't help. But you can see from an example of these things are out there, and whatever petrified them, did they petrify people? Because we don't know the timeline. Is it, like I said, is it ancient tech? Is it a frequency that happens every so often that just basically turns everything into stone? I don't know. I mean, you got like medieval cathedrals, or do you call them cathedrals? And you do have a lot of gargoyles on these cathedrals. Hence that film I, Frankenstein, where they're at war with the demons. Were these turned on and off with a frequency from the cathedrals, from the organs, Gorgons? Who knows it? But it's intriguing. And then obviously you have Saint Barbara, who was in a tower, got out, and the shepherd snitched onto her father, who chased after her, and the shepherd got turned into stone. Now, who turned him into stone? Was it God? Was it Saint Barbara herself? Because that's why I talked about it. When you look at some of these medieval photos, they don't look human. I mean, we've seen the beastry and the demons and different things, but you see the weird pale shades of white and grey and like a light green and a duck shell blue. Were these people not human or humanoid? People had the power possessed to turn things into stone, because it doesn't say who turned him into stone. And that's why I showed and talked about that for a few minutes, which is fascinating, because it just makes you think then, because when you just put another idea into something, it spins it about, and it just makes you go, wow, I didn't think of that. And then that gives you the spark to go and look at something else. Then we had St. Bartholomew, who was skinned alive, and that's in the Milan church, and I found that when I was looking into Milan for the cemeteries, and it is some people say, wow, that's scary. Some people thought it was fascinating of the craftsmanship. Some people are talking about it's real and it got turned into stone, petrified. Whatever way you look at it, it's one of those wow things. And if that is a marble or a statue, I've never been. I know there's different types of theories. It's real. That's his skin round, or it's still, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things, and I can't go through every theory, but that was just to show you that there is lifelike types of monuments out there, and some I didn't even include in the video. So that gets you to thinking, were these real monuments done with ancient tech, with a frequency type of weapon? Was it a demon? Was it some type of reset? Did God turn him to stone for the sins? Because a lot of these myth laws talk about envy, greed, murder, or something bad, and they got turned into stone. So it's linked to them types of, it's not emotions, is it? Characteristics of the soul, or whatever you want to call it. So that moved me on to, obviously, I've talked about gargoyles, obviously that film Frankenstein, but also, was it a misidentification? Is it a case of these people just had a skin condition that turned them into what looked like stone, and they got told as gargoyles, and then gargoyles thing, or these statues, and then that's where they got the idea from. Did people actually fully go into stone because the skin conditions were a lot worse? Who knows? I mean, you have that skin disease, and you also have that actual thing called stone man syndrome, where the skeleton turns to bone. Obviously it doesn't turn into bone, like the ligaments, the skin underneath, the muscle, all turns to stone, creating another skeleton. That, I mean, it's a horrific type of disease, and you know what I mean? We always think, oh, well, whatever's up with us and our conditions, and you always feel down in the dumps, and it is that story. There's always someone worse. So in regard to that, stone man syndrome, and although it's bone, it goes hard as stone. Is this where all the folklore, mythology from behind people getting turned into stone? Is it a case of these people had this disease, and one look from a person, and because it scared them, and it was an emotional response, they locked up, and they got accused of turning that person into stone? Is that where the Gorgon myth came from? I don't know. But like I said, I just want to run past all these ideas and just give alternate theories, and to behind just saying, yeah, guys, these marble statues are real. Marble means they were dead or spiritually dead, no soul, and it got turned into stone. The end. Bye, guys. So I wanted to show you different things. It's intriguing me because that ties into bits of the Bible, and yes, I know different definitions and verses change from Bible to Bible, mistranslations. Sometimes you don't put the full verse in and the context behind it. Yes, we acknowledge that, and we all acknowledge that. But there's one bit that it got me intriguing. Jesus is known as the living stone. Living stone. I mean, there is things called lithops, which are plants, and they look like stone. They're really, really colourful, and they're known as the living stone. And obviously some people look into the theory of Jesus being a mushroom and different things like this. There's so much, and this is what intrigues me. And like I said, I don't get triggered by things. I just look into the information, and I like it sharing what I find with you. So if Jesus is known as the living stone, did that mean he turned into stone? Or, you know, where'd you get the... Is it to mean the sense of strong as a stone? Like Peter, other than meaning Peter, it sounds like Peter, but Peter means the rock. That is why the city of Petra is named after Peter, or the vice versa. But that is where it comes from. Peter, Petra means the rock, like Peter. So is there anything to that? And obviously, you have the holy sepulchre on top of the holy, the holy mound, the rock. And you have things like Fantastic Four, The Thing. Were these skin diseases? Were these stone man syndrome? Were they... Or was it black magic? Demonic magic? Frequencies? Because frequency sound can create a lot of things. Levitate. It can turn... it can create light. It can make things magnetize. You know what I mean? So there's so many things that sound can do. Is there a frequency that turn people, or a weapon turn people to stone? And is it tied into a reset? Were these the precursors? I'm saying, did the Great Rift open and the water came out? Was that somehow the pH balance of that? So in one way, whatever it hit, it petrified giants, titans, giant animals, and people. And because of that event, the people put me into the cemeteries. as a monument, as an example of what happened, and it's been hidden since. Who knows, guys? These are just things. And think about creation. Different creation stories have how we are made from mud, how we're made from dust, we're from the ground. The ground contains stone. We're talking Jesus of the living stone. We're talking about the creating the first spell. He spoke and created this existence. It the word turned things to flesh. Now, when you look at it that way, did he turn what was already here into flesh? Stones, mountains, into people? Who knows? These, like I said, these are just ideas. I'm not like, I know it might be whoa, way out there for some people, but it's just me putting ideas together and listening to what you guys say in the chat and people in the comments. Because obviously we're talking about speaking the spell, and it talks how the word created the flesh, and people, you know, dwelled like a dwelling, a building. I mean, I did a video not long ago. If you've not watched it, check it out. It's about basically us being another brick in the wall. A wall is stone. So you can see these videos how sometimes they tie together. It's just really, really interesting me. I mean, we have obviously the word abracadabra, and they believe that comes from the Aramaic, to create what I speak. So is it creating something like a marble statue, you know, I create? I mean, look at some of these creation stories. They have humans being made on a potter's wheel. I think that God is known as the chief potter or something like that. So it just makes you to think the craftsmanship in it. And then obviously you had the masonry side, the Freemasons. Masons, is that why they're called that? Because they know something in regard to these statues. We just don't know. But abracadabra means create what I speak, and in Aramaic it means abracadabra. Abracadabra, is that one and the same? Abracadabra. Dead bodies are called cadavers. Dead bodies without the soul, marble. I just don't know, you know, so I'm thinking out loud and seeing what you great people think. It's a wow of a video. It's been an experience. My mind got absolutely blown away when I found that. Like I said, 3 hair follicle challenge. It just makes you think, and this is just what my prime goal is to meet like-minded individuals, but it's also to expand each other's thought processes. Me making a video using my platform, you guys, great guys, watching it and saying, Paul, you were right there, but you were wrong there. What if? And these people made that video, and then, you know, we're creating a more of a idea on what that question is. Were these marble statues actually real? Well, when you look at it from my point of view, if you just looked at it, not objective, had no grievances about anything, and say, right, were these marble statues real? Let's look at the evidence. Eyelashes. Wow, that must have been to get that from marble. How many hours was they sanding or cutting that? And they've not snapped. Was it advanced techniques that they didn't use? Was you know, like we were talking about last week about 3D printing. Some of the great comments. I think it was from Mark, wasn't it? If I get your name wrong, I apologise, because I'm just thinking out on the spot. And we're talking about that. Were these things 3D printed in the sense of, you know, cut out that way, or were they real? And then if you're looking at real is, well, marble, obviously there's some granite and different things. Is that attached to marble, meaning the dead, spiritually dead, mortified? And then we're talking about then the things with the 7 deadly sins, the greed, the envy, the, you know, these from folklore tales, these are the people that turned him into stone. Like, for instance, St. Barbara and all them other things. It doesn't say who turned who into stone. So it's just intriguing. And then we have obviously the Gorgon talks. And that's just how I want to portray the video. And then I want to show you some of the aerial photos and show you how they're set out. A lot of them are set out like circuit boards again. I've done many a video on showing you how ossuaries, the bones, are all under star forts. Is it a case of using the energy? And that's why I did that brick video. Where did all the blood and the sinew go? Now, could it be the fact that some of them were statues, and set an example, they followed a different god, or a god punished them and turned them to stone, and basically these people smoothed them out and put them as a monument or an example to the people? Who knows? Because the stranger things have happened in this reality. It's just gone crazy. And then we're talking about, like I did a video on the Emmys, the Sumerian Emmys, talked about a connection to the god. Was the frequency to the god change, and these people were petrified? We can see sometimes an example of petrification happening really, really quick. Well, look at the lake Natron. So there is examples out there, and I'm not here saying, right guys, you should believe this, you should believe that. I'll leave it up to you. I'll show you what I found. I probably forget some of the easiest, bigger things in it, but you can't put everything in a video. So it's always funny when you make a video and those nice little people go, oh, you forgot to put that in. Well, make it yourself. You know what I mean? We all forget something. It's just such hard work making a video, getting everything together, and then keep watching it back and forward so it flows. You know what I mean? So I always say to people, make it yourself and share your story, share your thoughts, and let people think of what goes on in your head. Like I said, we have them plants called lithops. They're known as the living stones. It's just interesting. Jesus, the living stone. We have all the folklore. We all have the films of things being turned into stone. Return of the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? So all these gargoyles and stone titans. There's been so many of them. Clash of the Titans. Witch films, wizard films, supernatural films, all showing you turning people into stone, turning people into ice. I believe there's, in one of the new Disney ones, Raya, the Last Dragon, there was an evil presence called the Druan that turned humanity into stone. So, was there an event that happened that changed people into stone? And these cemeteries, some of the statues, because obviously some of them are not well made, who knows? Like I said, some of them are just too lifelike, advanced tech. Like I said, I'm not jumping on any theory. I just want to put everything together, and at least I can formulate and have an idea now of, if I ever see someone say, oh, look at these marble statues, they look so lifelike. And then I said, well, actually, if you look at the etymology, if you broke it up in half, marble means dead, mortified, spiritually dead. I mean, wow. I mean, just wow. That's just for marble. And that, to me, I should have just, end it. Guys, the etymology marble. The end. Wow. But I wanted just to make something for you guys to get your teeth into, and not just be full of pictures of cemeteries and statues. I mean, look at some of the cemeteries, some of the architecture. Some of it is Tartarian-esque, and a lot of them do look like mud flood. So there's just so much in the video, and it's been, I really, really enjoyed researching it, finding out the etymology of things, and just using this as a path to gain more, more experience, more evidence, more theories, more light, more knowledge. Because I just want to navigate my way through this as best I can, and offer support, offer my thoughts to people who want to hear it. And, we're all on our own individual path, but, there's no harm in if I'm walking down the same path and you're at the side of us talking. That's how I see it. So, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this new video. Hopefully I've answered the questions on if they were real, or was it a skin condition, was it the Stoneman syndrome, is there something else that I've missed out? Probably. You had the late Natron, you had Lot's wife turning into salt, and I mean the Romans used to, that's where we get the term, you're worth your weight in salt. So there's so many things that we can talk about and then progress for future videos, future topics to talk about on lives. But I'm just blown away that when you look at something with fresh eyes, you find something new. And I believe I've done that So hopefully, guys, you've enjoyed it. For anyone new in the chat, thank you for coming. And again, for people that constantly supporting me, sometimes people forget and just say hello to the new subs. But without the people who refound me again after losing me channel, for the continuing support, I'm humbled, guys. You know, I am. It is, you know, you make me want to make a video so I can get chatting to you guys on a regular basis. You know what I mean? And you becoming like an online family. If you want to talk to me again on a regular basis, please go to Twitter. It is What the Flock TV, and you'll see things that I post daily. So, guys, remember, always wear a smile, pay it forward, and just stay safe, guys. And remember, you know, don't let the bar stools grind you down. Right, guys, take care. Bye, guys.